Hey, welcome back to the Smoke Shack. This is Steven. Today we're bringing you a special review on the Zino Nicaragua. This is the 5x54 Robusto. Now, Connor is not with us today. He is over at his house. He is filming himself review this cigar as well. So we will have both of our reviews here for you for Two Perspectives Tuesday. So, getting into the specs of the cigar here. Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Dominican, Honduran, and Nicaraguan fillers. It is a fantastic looking wrapper, that Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. Just fantastic shade and also extreme amount of toothiness on the wrapper. Wow. It just really pops. It almost looks hairy, the amount of toothiness that is on the cigar. Fantastic look there. As far as the presentation of this cigar, that's the band in the box. I'm not a huge fan here of the single band. Just think it looks kind of plain, just with the Z and the Zino. Not really into more of the plain designs, but I do like how they come with the cedar or a wood box. I do like that for their boxes of 25. So a 4 out of 10 here for the presentation. Wasn't super bland, but it was pretty bland there for the presentation. But construction wise, absolutely phenomenal. This cigar looks fantastic. Very, very even roll. There's not much bumps at all. I mean, maybe just little slight feel in there, but that's pretty much from the veins. Nothing in there for the tobacco, no holes there in the tobacco. Really phenomenal roll here. Fantastic spring on the cigar. I mean, wow. Just great construction here. Again, I'm going to go back to that toothiness. It's extremely toothy. The cap here looks phenomenal. Very thick cap on top. So a 10 out of 10 here for construction. Absolutely perfect. As far as the color goes here, as you can see on the bottom of the cigar, very, very vibrant color. Would like it to be just a little bit more vibrant. I think that the Connecticut and the lighter shaded tobaccos just don't really pop too much here on the color. Now we do have a little bit of the darker tobacco in there as well. So that does peak up the score here to a 7 out of 10. Vitola, really love this Vitola. This is the 5x54 Robusto, a very common Robusto size. So a 9 out of 10 here for the Vitola. 1.42 for the presentation score for this cigar. Pretty great score there. That is a score out of 2. I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Aroma there on the body is a hay in a barnyard. Very light barnyard. Aged cedar. And then nice natural tobacco sweetness there on the foot there, the aroma. As far as the dry draw. Perfect puff of smoke there. Or, well, puff of air. We're not smoking right now. Wow. There's definitely some citrus in there. Very strong citrus. Phenomenal. A little bit of hay in there and barnyard as well. But that citrus, I've never had a citrus that strong before on a cigar. Gonna go ahead and light it up, see what we can get into. A lot of black pepper here on the tongue to start. Wow, it's phenomenal. There's just a lot of it. I, however, am getting a little bit of a tight draw here. Wow, it's just so spicy. Hard to depict what all the other spices are here. There's just a lot of spice. Phenomenal so far. Gonna go ahead and smoke it down to the end of the first third and then catch you back up with my thoughts here on the flavor profile and get into our scores. Now I'm sending it over to Connor.
Hey, welcome back here to the Smoke Shack. You have Connor on our Two Perspective Tuesdays, bringing you the Zino Nicaraguan from the Davidoff Cigar Company. So right off the bat here, getting into the craftsmanship, this cigar, the presentation, I'm going an 8 out of 10 here. It is pretty plain, however, I do like the additional touch where the Z and the Zino on the back have the splashes of the yellow paint. You know, the paper stock here on the band, it feels, it's there, but it's not, you know. And the cedar box, it's Zino with the yellow box. It's cedar though, so giving credit where it is due, it is not a cardboard box. Overall, 8 out of 10. The construction here, I am dropping it slightly to a 7. Well, the wrapper itself looks really good. There's some teeth on there. There's actually a little bit of glitter looking there too. However, it is slightly bumpy there on the toe of the cigar. However, the color here is an 8 for this shade of wrapper. It is fantastic. It looks like there's some oil in there. It looks like it has a lot of flavor. Nothing really wrong with the wrapper on this cigar at all. I am a huge fan of this Vitola. However, I think it's slightly longer for what I would want to see in a Robusto, so I'm giving that an 8. Pretty good score here for the craftsmanship, a 1.52 out of 2. So I'm going to go ahead, cut this, give you my dry draw tasting notes, and then fire it up. So let's get started. Oh, that's tasty. Yeah, my dry draw, I'm getting hints of apricot and earthy. Lots of flavor going on there in the dry draw. So on my initial draw, I am getting very earthy flavors. Some sweetness, some floral notes, some spice in there with the floral notes. This is a very tasty cigar right off the bat. So I'm gonna go ahead, smoke this down, and I will bring you back with my thoughts on the first third.
Hey, bringing you back in for the first third of this cigar. Flavor profile here is quite unique. You got black pepper, red pepper. The black pepper is crackling on my tongue. The red pepper is quite spicy. There is some citrus in the form of kind of a lemon here on my palate. Oak, and then a subtle bit of cream. It's almost like milk. I mean, it's very, very like cream. But all in all, pretty enjoyable there on the first third. The right to start there when we lit up the cigar for, I don't know, first half inch, it was quite a flavor bomb there with the peppers. Really did not enjoy that on my palate, so it does take a hit here a little bit. But getting into the scoring, intensity or the richness of flavor here, a 6 out of 10. For a very mild start here on strength. It is really punching above its weight class there on richness, but a 6 out of 10. Enjoyability, again, going back to what I said about the balance there at the beginning, just a flavor bomb of pepper. I did not enjoy that, but it has evened out here or balanced out as we've smoked it down into the first third with the nice addition of the citrus and then the woody notes as well. So a 7 out of 10 here for the enjoyability. Complexity, 8 out of 10. I feel like that's a very, very well-rounded Flavor profile, maybe just an addition of a flavor or two there, might just really make this a perfect 10 out of 10. Finish was phenomenal. A 9 out of 10 here on the finish, just really, really rich and long in length. There was some black pepper also crackling on my tongue. It was rather impressive. The draw here, a 9 out of 10. Right off the bat, we did have a little bit of a draw issue. It seemed a little tight, but it has been perfect since. So just that deduction there for the first little bit, but other than that, it was perfect. So 9 out of 10. Consistency or that char line, I mean, it is almost dead nuts perfect. And again, they said almost. So a 9 out of 10 here for the char line. But I mean, it's really close. Combustion wise, that's our balance here. It was off. Like I said, we had the flavor bomb there to begin with, and then throughout the first third, it actually became a little bit too dry because of the woody notes. So a 6 out of 10 here for the balance or the combustion. Ash structure, an 8 out of 10. Really a solid looking ash here on the cigar. Just a little bit of, I don't want to say flakiness, but it kind of looks like hay, where we have just like, looks like this could just fall off just that little bit at any moment. So an 8 out of 10 there, but otherwise very, very solid ash. The ash color, it's a little bit too much on the gray side there for me, so a 6 out of 10 there for the color. Resting smoke, it's really puffing off a lot of resting smoke here off of the top of the cigar. As you can see right there. Looks really good. It is white, however, not that nice blue hue that you usually get with the cigar. And we do have a little bit coming out of the head as well. So an 8 out of 10 here for that resting smoke. Drawing smoke, I'm getting a very, very creamy, very velvety amount of smoke there out of this cigar. 10 out of 10 there for that drawing smoke. Mouthfeel and temperature as well, they're perfect. 10 out of 10. The aroma actually is pumping off this cigar very, very nicely for a mild cigar, or at least mild in the start here. It's pumping off a very, very good aroma. 8 out of 10 here for that aroma. 7.51 for the first third. Gonna go ahead and smoke it down to about the halfway point, then catch you back up with my thoughts here on the second, third, and the scoring. So over now to Connor.
Hey, bringing you back in here for the review of the first third. As you can see, the ash color is pretty darn good here. The burn line is slightly uneven. Might be user error, because I did light this cigar with matches. And the ash structure is pretty good, but slightly flaky. So, getting into the flavor profile here. All I can say is, wow. You know, I was not expecting this in such a light colored, almost Connecticut looking cigar wrapper here. This is just, the flavor profile here is not what I was expecting. It's very creamy. There's a lot of good earthy notes, but it is so subtle and well balanced that nothing is really taking over the palate here. There's hints of floral, vanilla, cream, earthy cedars, and some oak in there. The flavor here for a morning cigar is just really well done. So balanced and super tasty. Getting into the flavor profile and the intensity here, it is not a very strong cigar, so this is perfect for the morning. On my intensity scale, I have it at a 2 out of 10 on the mild side. However, the intensity, I'm scoring it as a 7 out of 10 because this is what I'm looking for in a morning cigar. The enjoyability factor here is an absolute 10 out of 10. This cigar is very tasty, very flavorful, and I am enjoying this here on a nice spring morning in Western Pennsylvania. The complexity here, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. For a light shade cigar like this, the flavor profile there is just, there's a lot in this cigar. The finish here is ideal. The mouthfeel when I am done with this cigar is an absolute 10 out of 10. The draw is slightly inconsistent. Well, it's very consistent, but it's slightly loose. I'm not getting the big clouds of smoke that you would want to see here. Of course, on camera, it's pretty damn good, but it also reflects in my cigar score here for the draw. It is a 9 out of 10, so that is absolutely a good score. The consistency is a 10 out of 10. Combustion, an 8 out of 10, just because it is slightly uneven on that burn line there, as you can see. The ash structure, I had it at a 7 out of 10. It's just slightly flaky, and it looks like it's going to fall off here very soon on its own. The ash color is an 8 out of 10. Pretty darn white, but it's slightly gray and getting darker around those vein lines. Again, you normally see the vein lines, it does get darker, but an 8 out of 10 is still a pretty darn good score here. So the resting smoke is probably the lowest score I have here. It is a 7 out of 10. It's kind of inconsistent. I'm noticing it's coming off of the ash and out of the cap of the cigar there. So, you know, that's only 1% of the overall score though. So a 7 out of 10 there is not really a huge deal. The drawing smoke here though is an ideal 9 out of 10. The mouthfeel is an absolute 10 out of 10. The cigar leaves a nice creamy finish there. And the temperature is fantastic on this cigar. Very cool smoke every single time. Even on the 3 and 4 puff pulls, I'm getting a very nice cool smoke here. And the aroma is an absolute 10 out of 10. There's a nice kind of creamy, sort of musky, but almost floral smell in the room that I'm getting here. So I have a very good score of an 8.72 on the first third of this cigar, and I am really looking forward to seeing if this evolves throughout. So I'm going to go ahead, cut out, and bring you back in here for my review of the second third.
Bringing you back in at about the halfway point in the cigar. Flavor profile here is extremely well rounded. Black tea, citrus with lemon, oak, cedar, cream, and a bit of graham cracker in there as well. Phenomenal third as far as the flavor profile. Intensity here, or the richness of flavor, a 7 out of 10. Does peak up just a little bit here. It gets a little bit more rich there in the flavor. Enjoyability, a 9 out of 10. It really was a phenomenal third. Very good flavors here. If there was an addition of a chocolate, it would be a 10 out of 10 for me, just because I really like anything with chocolate in this cigar. So that's just a personal preference there. 9 out of 10 otherwise. Just, it's been a phenomenal third. Complexity, a 10 out of 10. It is just extremely well rounded. I mean, you heard all those different notes there in the flavor profile, and they just work really well together. The finish here, a 9 out of 10, extremely long and rich there in flavor. Draw, 10 out of 10. Consistency, or our char line, is a 10 out of 10. It was really dead nuts perfect throughout this whole third. Phenomenal. Combustion here, a 9 out of 10. It's just slightly dry on the palate, and it's just, again, just very slightly. So a 9 out of 10. You know, I round up typically, unless it is in the 9s, like a 9.5, and I think this is a 9.5. I just can't give a perfect score for something that isn't perfect, so it has to round down to a 9. Ash structure, a 9 out of 10 here. It is very solid. Not too much flakiness going on there, but really nice and solid there for that third. Ash color still not looking great. Still very gray. A 6 out of 10 here. Everything else, as far as the smoke assessment goes, seems to be very similar to the previous third, but a total score here of 8.68 for this third. That is really peaking up here. Obviously, it was a phenomenal third, but a whole 1.1 something higher than the first third. We'll get into all those details at the end, but man, really a phenomenal third. Hopefully that creeps up here and keeps up here into the final third, and we continue to get those good flavors here out of this cigar. I'm going to kick it over to Connor now for his thoughts here on the second third.
Hey, bringing you back in here for the second third. As you can see, that char line is still slightly wavy. However, throughout most of the second third, it was pretty darn even. And as you can see, the ash color is slightly gray. However, the flavor profile here is still just really turning over into really rich really tasty flavors of cream and espresso with this really nice mild spice going there. The score really didn't change a whole lot throughout this second third. The finish is still fantastic out of 10 out of 10. Very enjoyable cigar, 10 out of 10 there. The intensity has picked up slightly. I'm going 8 out of 10 on the intensity scale, dropping me at a 4 out of 10 on the overall, leaning towards more of a medium cigar here, still in between mild and medium. And the draw is very consistent, 10 out of 10 there. Combustion, slightly lower at a 9 out of 10, just because it was pretty darn even throughout that second third, but it started to get wavy towards the end of it. Ash color and ash structure are really the only things for me to knock on this cigar overall. It's slightly grayer than I would want to see, and the structure, it's slightly flaky. It doesn't really seem like it has a lot of holding power to the end of the cigar. However, the resting smoke and the aroma, man, this cigar really has a nice aroma of like floral hints that I'm picking up on the second third, changing over from the musky notes that I was getting in the first third. So the overall score for the second third picked up slightly from an 8.72, and it did bump itself up to an 8.80 even. So I'm going to continue to smoke this cigar down and bring you back here for my final third and overall score of this Davidoff Zino cigar. Hey, bringing you back in here for my reviews of the final third. First, I will say this cigar picked up a decent bit in strength and intensity, bringing it closer to that medium. Again, I had it at a 4 out of 10. I think that's a great place to leave it for the overall cigar review here. The flavor profile really did turn over again, and I was quite impressed. I was getting a lots of cocoa, but really creamy chocolatey, more than the cocoa powder, like a really nice creamy milk chocolate, along with a bit of a coffee and cream. There was some butter in there, and it also really picked up into this really nice nutty profile. The pepper and that spice really did die away there, and it really was well balanced. Towards the very end of the cigar, it got a little bit musky, but very enjoyable, and it played into the overall profile of this cigar. So what really helped this score in the second third was the burn performance scored slightly higher. The consistency stayed the same and the draw stayed the same, but the combustion, ash structure, and color did improve. What hurt the cigar in the final third was the smoke assessment. That resting smoke and the drawing smoke, along with the temperature, all sort of just took a point deduction. The temperature kind of warmed up, and that drawing smoke and resting smoke were just slightly less than ideal. So, what was my final third score? Slightly lower. It was an 8.77. Getting into all three, and the final score here, I had a craftsmanship score of a 1.52 out of 2. Pretty darn good. I think the knock there was just that overall intensity of the yellow. Third score was an 8.72, picked up there in the second third for an 8.8, and then just ever so slightly down again at an 8.77 for the final third, bringing my overall score of the Davidoff Zino Nicaraguan cigar at a very nice 8.76. This cigar is absolutely a cigar I would recommend to anybody smoking cigars, whether it be a novice, new beginner, or an experienced everyday smoker. This cigar is very tasty and something I would absolutely pull out of my humidor again.
Thanks, Connor. Now for my final thoughts here on this cigar. The flavor profile here really stays rather consistent to the previous flavor profile. Black tea, oak, cedar, cream, red pepper in here now, and cinnamon. Maybe it was the graham cracker before. It's a little bit cinnamony, or more cinnamony now. Restart that. Thanks, Connor. So for now, for my final thoughts here, the flavor profile really stays kind of consistent to the previous flavor profile. It is a black tea, oak, cedar, cream, red pepper, and cinnamon here. Does peak up in richness of flavor once again to an 8 out of 10 here for that intensity score. Enjoyability actually drops down here to an 8 out of 10 just because it is rather the same as the previous third for me. Complexity here, though, really a robust flavor profile. Still a 9 out of 10 there for that complexity. As far as the finish goes, a 10 out of 10. I mean, this thing is perfect. It's very rich, very long, excuse me. The draw, also perfect. 10 out of 10. I'm still getting a very good draw out of the cigar. The combustion or the char line, just slightly wavy here. A 9 out of 10. This is probably the worst that it has been throughout the entire cigar, and it's really not that bad at all right now. 9 out of 10 here for the combustion as well, that were our balance. Really a phenomenally balanced cigar here in the finish. The only thing I could really knock was, the peppers just a little bit spicy here, but it's just a little bit too spicy. It's really nothing too much to knock. A 9 out of 10 is almost perfect here for that balance. Ash structure, a 9 out of 10. I unfortunately just ashed it a little bit ago before coming back into the video, so I can't really show you that, but it is consistent there with the rest of the cigar. Ash color as well is still a 6 out of 10, still very consistent with the rest of the cigar. And then the smoking assessment here, the only thing that really changes is our resting smoke changes up to a 10 out of 10 here. It is phenomenal. It's coming right off the head. It's very blue here, and then nothing coming out of the head. I'm sorry, it's coming right off the char line, and nothing coming out of the head there. It's exactly what we want to see there for the resting smoke. An 8.40 here for the final third. As far as my strength goes, I got a 4 out of 10 here for the strength of the cigar. Really doesn't pick up to that medium in strength, maybe just shy of medium there in strength. As far as the overall score goes here for this cigar, it is an 8.20, which is a phenomenal score. These things MSRP for about $7. So for $7, we got a price per point score of 0.85, which is a phenomenal price per point score. Really a pretty enjoyable cigar here. Doesn't really evolve a whole lot, but does have some very rich flavors for a medium cigar, and really it was more mild medium throughout the whole thing. So to have the richness of flavor that we did was definitely enjoyable for me. I personally did not enjoy these flavors themselves. I think the citrus is something that you don't normally get in a lot of cigars. It does happen, obviously, but it is a nice touch here in this cigar. I do like that. Other than that, though, I really like to have a chocolate here in the flavor profile. I think it's just the only thing that's lacking as far as my preferences go. But again, that's just my preferences there for that cigar. Other than that, though, as you heard throughout the cigar, pretty phenomenal. It really started off worse than the rest of the cigar. Started off at a 7.51, and then an 8.68 for that middle third, and then an 8.4 for the final third. So really that first third's kind of an outlier there, and it just starts off just like a flavor bomb there, and the richness of flavor is just not there. I think the flavor just lacks there in that first third until it really starts getting going, which is about halfway through that first third, and then it really is a pleasant and enjoyable smoke the rest of the way through the cigar. But just that first little bit of the first third was the big knock here on the cigar. But for that, still to get an 8.2 is phenomenal here for this cigar. If you liked the video, go ahead and drop a like, comment if you've had this Zino Nicaragua before and your thoughts on it below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are on a push right now to get 250 subscribers. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Two Perspectives, and we'll see you next time here on the Smoke Shack.
Hey, huge shout out to everybody who got us to 100 subscribers on YouTube. If you haven't yet already, please hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up like button, and please go check us out on Rumble. We are trying to grow the viewers on that channel. As you see, we're going to start bringing people into this and have 3 perspectives. So if you want to see the full raw uncut footage, Check us out on Rumble. That is where all that content is going to be. And please share this with your friends and family. We are on a push to get to 250 subscribers. We're in talks of what we're going to do there. It's either going to be a giveaway or something pretty damn awesome. So definitely check us out, share us, and we appreciate all the support that you've given us. Until next time, here on the Smoke Shack, Connor is signing out.